Hello everyone, and today we're gonna talk about reduce. So reduce is without a doubt the scariest method. And when I was trying to learn about reduce, I always saw the same example, which I'm gonna demonstrate. So let's say you're trying to learn about reduce. I'm gonna do this here so we can console.log it because this is already running. So let me console.log and let me create an array here of numbers, which is always the example I see. So const numbers equals, you know what, good enough, close enough to numbers so that I care. Okay, I should actually put actual numbers, okay, and 6. And the example that I always see, right, is that what happens if you add all these numbers. So you see something like numbers that reduce, and then, yeah, because I mistyped numbers here, numbers that reduce, and then you see, first thing you got is the previous value, which is the I usually call it the cumulator, so I'm gonna call it cumulator. Maybe that's how you write it. I have no idea. And the current value. All right. And you have this, and then you run something, and in here you set what is the base. How does it start? Like when the first run. So if I put in here 0, and I just run it and always return the accumulator. So accumulator, it will just return 0 because it starts with 0. So the first example, this example that I always see is that like, okay, so AC accumulator equals accumulator. Actually, you don't even need to do this. You can just do plus equals the current value, and then you return the accumulator. And in the end, it's 66. So this is not a bad example, but it's always the example that I see. And it's something that I have actually never done in real life. Okay, so let's go through what all of this means. So first we get the numbers, we reduce them, and when we use reduce, we get two things. We get the accumulator, which is the thing here that starts at 0, and we get the current value, which is the current number in this case that I'm going through. Then in here, what I do is that I say, okay, the accumulator is now equal to whatever it is plus the current value. So this is the same as saying equals accumulator plus current value. It's the same thing, as you can see, and we return the accumulator. So for each of them, you have to return the accumulator. So you can also return this, whatever you prefer, like it's up to you. But the idea is that you return this new value that will change the accumulator. So for example, in the first one, see that the accumulator is 0 and the current value is 1, so it will start at 1. And then you will see 1 plus 54 equals 55. So this is how it works in a general way. So let's move into another example. And in this example, you can see that I have all of these clubs and all they see is object, because what I'm showing here is just club to string. So we're going to reduce this to, for each club, to what we have right now is an array of objects with the name of each club. So this basically, right? And what I want is just a name in a plain array. So you could do this with maps, but let's do this with reduce just to get a better idea of it. So I say reduce, and then I get the accumulator, and the current value. I'm gonna copy this next time. Okay, and my starting point is gonna be an empty array, right? Because that's where we want to start from. What I'm gonna do is accumulator that push a current value, that name, and then I am gonna return, whoa, that's getting hard to type, the accumulator. And if I do that, you can see that we have every club, and we also have an error here, so let's just fix it with key equal to club. And now we won't complain about this anymore. So let's go over what we did here. Reduced, got the accumulator and the current value, and for each iteration, we pushed into the accumulator the current club that value. So in here, to make more sense, I will change this to club. So current club, that name, is pushed into the accumulator, and then we just return it at the end of it. Hope this makes sense. It is confusing, like reduce is just quite confusing in general, let's be honest. So that's why I prepared another one. So let's come over here, and what I want to do here is that I want to return, where's that? There we go. I want to return an object that returns the clubs that are on the top and the clubs that are on the bottom. So the first 3 clubs and the last 3 clubs. So let's think about this, right? So I'm going to reduce, and let me copy how to write accumulator English is not my first language, okay? Typing is hard, just in general. And then the current club, right? So we got that. And what I want to do is say that the starting is this. So it's an object with top, that is an empty array, and bottom, that is also an empty array. So, and as you go through these clubs, you either put them on the top or you put them on the bottom, right? So if I just came here and said accumulator dot top dot push current club, they would all go to the top. If I remember to return the accumulator, there we go. They would all go to the top, right? So this is the idea. So it's push that name. There we go. And then there's nothing at the bottom. So this is the idea. So how do I see this? So let's first get the number of clubs that exist. So const number of clubs equals original clubs dot length. So right now we have, let me console.log just to make sure. I think the one does like as 20, maybe that's 18. Number of clubs is original clubs dot length, which apparently is undefined because I misspelled length. It's 18. Okay, there we go. I miss the VS Code spell checker at Code Sandbox. VS Code spell checker, 10 out of 10. Alright, so we have to know how many clubs we have. So it's easier to start from the top. So we have the position. So I can tell what is the club dot position. So if I say current club dot position, that is going to return me the position of each of the clubs. So I can say if current club dot position is smaller or equal to 3, then what I want to do is accumulator that top that push this particular club. So current club, sorry, that name. And if I remove this, we can see that we have the top 3 clubs. So if I put a 4 here, you can see that we'll have the top 4 and so on and so forth. So the length is 18. So what we need to check is if current club dot position is bigger or equal to number of clubs minus 3. And in that case, we need to push it to the bottom. So accumulator dot bottom dot push and current club dot name. And now we have the bottom 3. Actually, we have the bottom 4 because we're not supposed to get the 3. Okay, yeah. So let me just do this and remove this. And now we have the bottom 3 clubs. So I hope this helps make sense of how to work with the reduce. It is the most complicated method when it comes to JavaScript arrays, but I hope these examples that I showed you help. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.